in fact, let's stay with that story. We're joined now by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala. Mr. Zikalala, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Of course, we know there are a number of vacancies that need to be filled now. Today, the focus is going to be on those 5 positions that have been left open in the Supreme Court of Appeal. Your sense overall over the interview process, of course, there's been a lot of learning, I believe, done over the last couple of years for the JSC with the critique, the feedback that they've been raised, that they've received on the nature of interviews that are conducted.
Good evening to you and also to your viewers. Yes, it's quite an important role because what you then do as one of the commissioners that are there, you firstly look, do we have a fit and proper person? It must be fit and proper in terms of knowing the actual court procedures. Can we call this person a judge that will be able to adjudicate at the end of the day? Are they well or are they in touch with the challenges in which they are being faced by the judiciary? Are they aware or are they in touch with the challenges which are being faced by ordinary South Africans? So the impact of judgments being issued late may be something which may be small to other individuals. But for a person who's waiting for a decision payment to be made so that they can continue living their lives, it's a huge deal at the end of the day. For a legal practitioner who's still waiting for their payments to be made for the fees in which they've rendered the legal services for, it's a huge problem and it's a huge issue. So what you want to do, and what the JSC is certainly cognizant of, is to make sure that find individuals that are well aware that when it comes to the administration of justice, it means that you must move quickly, you must be precise, and you must issue judgments which are in line with the spirit of the Constitution and make sure that they are progressive at all times. So even though you want someone who's going to be able to think outside of the box, but that particular box, if you do think outside of it, you must have substantiated reasons of doing so. And the most important one being that I want to grow the spirit of the Constitution and make sure that I'm able to protect the legal interests of all individuals in South Africa.
Do you get a sense that there's much more set criteria that the commissioners are working from as they undertake this process, or is it just a case of having learned then from, again, previous criticism that has been leveled against some of the commissioners?
You do get that particular sense in terms of, I wouldn't say that the questions are scripted, but it's as if there's been a pre-meeting that has taken place that says these are the type of questions in which you are going to ask. Just limited to the questions which are only related to the legal sphere and nothing else and nothing more, which I think it's a bit wrong and shortchanges us as members of the public. Let's remember, I want to be able to trust that the person who is a judge in my matter is well vested when it comes to the law and can apply it. But most importantly, because we're dealing with a person that has emotions, I want to know where they are in terms of race, in terms of creed, in terms of making sure that everybody is held equally in front of the law. If I don't have that particular basis or those opinions, I can't even make an application for them to be recused at the end of the day, because I can't come back and say, based on what you stated in your interviews, I don't think that you're going to be the appropriate candidate to adjudicate my matter when it comes or when it lands on your table. So if there are going to be instances where there's a limitation in the type of questions that must be asked, then we're being shortchanged at the end of the day. We are going to be left with individuals which may be fit and proper in terms of the legal qualifications, but with the extra IQ, with the extra intellectual knowledge that one needs to have in order to adjudicate properly as a judge. I think on that one we may be shortchanged, but I think during deliberations, that's when these type of issues are going to come back again.
The challenge, of course, has been about where to draw the line, right? And we saw that boundary almost being crossed in various ways, to the extent that some even felt that the interview process of the JSC could well discourage suitable, well-qualified candidates from putting their hands up for certain posts simply because they don't want to be subjected to what has previously been described as a very rash and unfair interview process.
Some may even argue, including myself, of saying it's a robust and very open interview. If I subject myself to a JSC interview, I must be able to answer any question even on certain points that I've had much earlier, and be able to defend those particular standpoints that I've relied on, especially within my judgments. Let's look at the fear and what the intention was of creating a JSC committee, which includes politicians and the legal industry or the legal scholars. It was to make sure that we're able to cover these 2 points. when a person looks at the judiciary, especially if you're going to look at the Constitution is clear that it must reflect us as members of the public. So I want to see gender parity when you get to the JSC. I want to see that we are all represented, even when it comes to our races, we're all represented. But most importantly, or the underlying reason, or maybe the undertoned representation that is there, is that even the belief systems must be such that you are able to see different individuals of different religions standing or being part of judges, so that at the end of the day I can see that I'm being represented. But most importantly, I must be able to know as the litigant where that particular judge stands in or what they believe in, so that I'm able to apply for that particular judge to be recused if it needs be, or if I think that they're not going to be as independent as they ought to be at the end of the day. Now, if you limit the type of questions in which you are then asking within the JSE, when the process in which you have adopted, you've said, even before you go and attend those particular interviews, I'm opening up to members of the public to submit their views, to submit their questions. Why then limit that particular interrogation process if you are going to open it so wide so that at the end of the day you are able to get the best of the best? It is simple. Go to that particular interview if you know that you are fit and proper to do your job as a judge, not only in qualifications but only in your belief system and in a manner in which you've executed your duties, especially if you've been a judge before.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. Mpumelelo Zikalala is a legal analyst.